Money, money, money. Money, money, money. We got that fly Nubian money. We talk about that money. We all about that money. Money, money, money. Money, money, money. We got that fly Nubian money. We talk about that money. We all about that money. We love our black skin, our melanin, always focusing in on that money. We always win, money never thin, 'cause we hustling, always focusing in money, 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 money. We got that money, 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 money. We that fly Nubian money. Boss talk, only we stack it up.
Happy Friday, y'all. Welcome to Fly Nubian Money, where we help you master your mindset and maximize your money. Let's get into it. Now, for years, making six figures was considered the goal, all right? Hit $100,000 and many people assume you had made it. Today, many people making six figures say they just feel financially stressed. Why? Because housing costs are rising, childcare is expensive, healthcare costs continue to climb, transportation costs more, groceries cost more, and debt keeps following people just in higher income brackets. This conversation is not only about income, it is about whether wealth means something different now than it did 20 years ago. Today, we have a light crew today. All right. I got my girl in the house, Miss Dominique Morgan. She's a real estate extraordinaire. Okay. A realtor extraordinaire from the Whitmore Group. And on top of that, she's a nurse. So, Dominique, it's just you and me, kid.
Hey, let's do this. Let's do
it. So, my first question to you, sis, is this. What do you think about that? What do you think about this? $100,000 is not enough to sustain people. What's going on?
I would have to agree. You know, when you think about $100,000, like previously, that was a comfortable number, right? But now with the cost of inflation, $100,000 is just not quite doing it, especially when you have families with multiple people, right? And on top of that, when you're making $100,000, you quite qualify for any resources or anything that can assist you because you make so much money. But in all actuality, you don't do anything. You're not making anything that's going to really sustain you. Again, especially when you have multiple people, kids, a spouse, you know, children in college, school, all those things. So I would have to agree with it.
Yeah. Now I was thinking, remember back in the day, I don't know how young you are, you're a baby, but back in the day, okay, $50,000 used to be the shizness, okay? $50,000. If you hit $50,000 a year, you were doing well. Yep. But then that fizzled out, and then $100,000 came in, you were doing excellent. But now that's not enough to sustain anyone. So it's just crazy out here. It is really, really crazy. Anyway, does six figures still mean wealthy to you?
No.
What are your thoughts on that?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't, because you make too much, again, to qualify for any resources, right? And so you find yourself in this space. And you know how they talk about middle class. I don't think that we have middle class. You either rich or you poor, period. There's no in between. Because again, if you make $100,000, you're not qualifying for healthcare.
Right.
You know, not for childcare. You're not qualifying for government assistance or anything like that, but you're still spending. And I can speak from my household. You know, I have a family of 4 now. My daughter's home from college. You know, groceries can be like $1,200 a month alone, and sometimes more, depending. You know, it's summertime. Like I was telling you earlier, they eat you out of house and home, so you can spend a lot of money. And then parents that have young children, childcare, daycare is it's like paying a mortgage. I remember when my kids were young, the cost, to put your child in the daycare because you had to work, sometimes you're like, man, is this really, really worth it? And so I don't think, making the 6 figures is the same today as it was, even a few years ago. I think a few years ago, it was okay. But with inflation and the cost of living, you got to think about it. As a realtor, when I'm working with people that want to rent versus purchasing, the rent is just as expensive as purchasing a property. But then you can't really afford that. And then they want you to make so much times, the rent. And most people, they don't. At 6 figures, after you calculate all the costs, it's just not realistic anymore.
Exactly. And that's really sad. That is really, really sad. Because I remember when I had my child in daycare, it was only like $280 a month, a week. And this is going back 20 years ago. Now I hear it's like $350, $400 a week. How can people sustain that? And you're absolutely correct. The government does not give anybody any handouts when you're making $100,000. They think that is a lot of money, but they're also not raising the poverty level either, so that people can get help if they do need it. So my question to you,
and real quick, even when you think about jobs, like back in the day, because I still work as a registered nurse. So I do real estate, but I still work as a registered nurse. Back in the day, like we got bonuses, like nice bonuses, we got nice increases. And now, because of everything that's going on, they have every excuse not to give you increases. So sometimes, even when you're on these jobs, what you're making, it's not reflecting inflation. What you're making is like, okay, but I'm not, if you're giving me a 1% raise or a 2% raise, like back in the day, a minimum you would get 3%. But even now, companies are finding ways to prevent, from not allowing them to have to give you that amount. And so the jobs and what you're making is not even keeping up with inflation at all.
Wait, back up. They're not giving 3% as a standard raise anymore. And that right there was choking.
Yes, if they give anything, because I've talked to people that get nothing. And so you're thinking about they're not taking in consideration, because you got to think about it. Ever since COVID, it seems like things are just creeping up throughout the years. Like, think about it. Everything is so much higher, but they never take into consideration the cost, the inflation, the cost of living. They don't take that into consideration. And again, I know people that don't get any kind of raises at all yearly, whatsoever. And then the people that do get raises, there's a very few percentage that I know that say, hey, yeah, I get 3%, or I may get a little more. Most people get less than that. And it's like, oh, well, you can't complain, or we can't afford to give you that. But then you got the CEOs and the C-suite people that are getting major bonuses, but the people that are doing the work are not getting that. And so we feel it, in terms of cost of living, because we're out here working, right? If groceries change and the cost of groceries increase, but your check doesn't increase, where does that put you? It puts you in a bad situation. And again, you can't get government assistance. So it's not like I'm gonna go get food stamps. You can't get them because you don't qualify for them. And so it puts you in a space where it's like, or childcare assistance. You can't get any of that. I remember I had my daughter in college, so I qualified for government assistance, right? So I was able to get childcare. But as soon as I got my nursing license, all of that was done. So even with that, it's like, okay, yes, I was getting government assistance. Yes, I'm making more money, but it doesn't reflect, because of the fact that now you have to pay all these additional costs.
Yeah. And you did mention COVID. I noticed that, and my next question to you was going to be, when did you notice the difference in, in the change in money? I noticed during COVID, okay, prices inflated, everything inflated, and nothing came down. Nothing came down. They just kept it at that, and they kept salaries the same. And to be honest with you, I'm the conspiracy theorist, okay? I really think this is just a big ass setup to get people, to be inculcated into the new system that's about to come. There is a new system that is about to come, and the elites are preparing everybody for it. We're all slaves up in here. So anyway,
and I think too that they use things like the pandemic as an excuse to price gouge. They use it. We don't have, I remember, and I was talking about this on a previous show. You were going to restaurants or go to different places, and they had a COVID fee. Like, for
You
what?
said that before. I was like, what?
Like, and you would think, like, why are you adding this fee? It's an excuse to put more money in the rich people's pocket, right? And take from us. Like, why?
Yeah.
Why would you charge me a fee for COVID? People are losing their jobs. And granted, there was a lot of money that was going on within, that was being, filtered through everybody, stimulus checks, etc. But why are you charging me to come to your restaurant? If anything, you should be maybe discounting it because of the fact that I'm coming to your restaurant, and they were using the excuse as COVID. So I think oftentimes when we have these pandemics and different things that happen, they use that as a way to get more money out of us, which is making us poorer.
Correct. Exactly. Before we go, I got to give a shout out to my cousin. Hey, Malik, I see you, boo. And I also got to give a shout out to my good friend, King Simon. He's in the house. I love you both. Thank y'all for being here. But we're going to go to a video. Producer, roll the video for us. If she does roll the video.
Is becoming lower middle class,
especially based on where you live,
especially if you live somewhere that's not cheap to live. We grew up thinking like you crack 6 figures, you're good. You know what I mean? Like you're golden. Like 6 figures is like cool. You can live in comfort. You can experience upper middle class with 6 figures. Now it's like 6 figures is like, especially bottom, like.
Everybody's talking about it. It's the thing. It is the thing. Yeah. So my question to you is this: what amount of money do you think it's going to take to live comfortable?
I don't think it's an amount of money.
Mm-hmm.
I always, we have these conversations all the time. I think it is us being more community oriented, right? I think it's us coming together. I think it's us crowdfunding, right? So that we can create this space where we're able to make these opportunities available. So for instance, me and you, we're friends. And let's just say we're single parents, because I think that people just look at it. I do believe in marriage and partnership, but say we're both single people. Instead of you going and buying a building and me going and buying a building, we buy a building together. We raise our children. We alternate our work schedules, right? So that we're not paying for childcare because our children are young. Finding different creative ways to help us. Because I don't think it's a number, because every time we come up with a number, there's going to be another number. And then there's going to be another number. But if we're setting ourselves up, right? So we say, hey, we're going to buy this building together. And in 6 months to a year, we can go buy another building, because people don't understand the power of house hacking, right? So now we get this building. Now we move into this building and we're renting this building out. So now this building is covering itself with some extra reserves, right? And then now we have this building that we're living in. Now we're still paying the mortgage, and we keep doing that. Now we're creating our own wealth. Now we're creating our own stuff, and people don't understand that. Now we have reserves. So eventually, if we do this so many times and we're doing this together, we're going to put a contract in place, and we're going to do everything that we need to do. We're going to, dot all our I's, cross our T's. Then now we potentially have our own money. And then we're living for a little bit of nothing. Our kids are educated differently because we're doing it. We're homeschooling our children because, again, we're alternating schedules, right?
Yeah.
We're having dinners together. And I think that is richer than money itself, right? Our kids are stronger mentally. We're able to incorporate how we want our children educated, as opposed to them going into the education system and they're creating worker bees as opposed to independent, critical thinkers. I think that is what it's about. I think that's the true wealth. I think that we focus so much on money, and money is not necessarily the thing. I think we have to come together as a community. Back in the day, we had big mamas. Back in the day, you went outside and you did something wrong and you got disciplined outside, and then you came home and you got disciplined.
Oh, yeah, you got it both ways.
Yes, I think it will help our community in general, but everybody wants to operate in silos, which is making it more difficult. So then what happens is these people that have the money, they're coming in, they're buying up the properties in our community. They're making it unaffordable for us, right? Because we're not in position to do it ourselves. So I think there's not necessarily a number. I think it's a mindset.
Girl, you done said all of what I was going to say, okay? But you are absolutely correct. It is community. It is community. And one thing I noticed within the last 10 years, they've been trying to separate us all from relationships to friendships. Look at our reality TV, especially the Housewives of Atlanta. I used to love that show, but I don't watch it anymore because I can't stand to see women hating on each other, fighting each other in that way, and then friendships breaking up. I'm like, life does not have to be like that. It is crazy. It is absolutely nuts. So I think that it's all done by design to keep people separated. And then, of course, when they create the problem, they also create the solution. Then they're going to come in and say, hey, y'all, you know, we got the solution. We're going to give you all universal health care. We're all going to give you a salary. You don't have to do nothing but sit back and look pretty. But then they're going to control everything. They're going to control our water source, where we live, our food source. And when they control that, they control you. You have no freedom.
Yeah. And one thing that I would say, one thing that I would say is I am better because of the people that are around me. Now, granted, you know, you have to be selective in who you bring around. But I have amazing women. You know, when people talk and they be like, I don't do females. That I don't understand.
What?
I love my people. I love my people. Yes. You know, they females, you know, I love them. Like we have grown up together. It's just like a relationship. You adjust. And then even when it comes to marriage, I think that when marriage is done right, it is so special. And we're crowdfunding, like Booker 1138 said, collaboration is key. You can do a lot more with a team, create family banks. And this stuff is the truth. And I think that they keep us separated. Think about it. When you think about reality TV or you think about things that go viral, the things that go viral are the things that are negative about us, right? They talk about, they talk about, now if you're doing something positive and doing something good, you're not even going to get no likes. You're not going to get no attention, but let you be out there fighting somebody that's going viral. They want to create these stereotypes like all our men are deadbeat, you know, our women are just shaking their booties and they go all these different crazy things. And when you talk to people, most people are not even surrounded by those type of people. That's a small percentage of who we are.
So true. Yeah.
Narrative, we can't work together, we can't be a team. Like even with my real estate business, me and my friend went into partnership together. Why we're better together? Why not come together? Yes, we can do it separately. But that old African proverb say, if you want to go quickly, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Start building stuff. And granted, things are not going to always be perfect, but that's in anything else. You go to these jobs and these jobs are not perfect, but you still rely on them and depend on them. And then you can come in and you making that 6 figures and they can decide that they no longer want you. And I think that you have to change your mindset.
Yeah, and I believe that we have to become free and fearless. That's another thing, girl, because fear paralyzes us. When we are in fear, we don't move and we do not think for ourselves and we just allow others to think for us. And that's where the problem comes in. We're going to go to another video. Producer, can you roll a video, please? If she's there.
Right now, about 6 out of 10 Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, and that includes people making over 6 figures.
I am convinced that is wrong. It's got to be at least 90. No, I'm saying like right now. Do you know how expensive life is? Like wherever that stat was, it has
9 out of 10.
Well, all right. 8.
Yeah, that's you right. Living paycheck to paycheck.
And just to also say it, rich habits versus poor habits does not actually matter about how much you make.
She's absolutely correct. What are your thoughts, Mama, on that one?
I would have to agree. There's a lot more people that are living paycheck to paycheck. I think there's a lot of people that are one emergency away from almost being homeless. And it's not, I don't think it's necessarily because of individual, like we do sometimes I feel like we have we make bad choices in terms of finances, but I don't think that is the masses, right? I think that's again, that's the story that's told. I think that people are being more strategic about their money, but I also think that there's opportunities that we didn't have back in the day that we now have. And if we take the time, and I think that we're going to have to make some temporary sacrifices in order to have permanent success, right? So yes, you may have to work a job. Like I still work a job. You know, eventually I will come off of it, but I primarily, I do it because again, it's insurance, different things like that. But if we make those temporary sacrifices, like I don't work my business like it's part-time. I work my business like it's a full-time job to get me to where I'm going. So then I will be okay. And I think that with all the opportunities available and different ways to make money, we are going to have to make some temporary sacrifices in order to get us to where we need to be. So we're no longer living from paycheck to paycheck, making good in investments, connecting with people, you know, like Dr. Boyd said, to have these conversations about finances and financial literacy and good investments that will eventually set us up and get us to where we need to be.
Yeah, and that's another thing. A lot of us do not invest. That is the biggest problem. And then by the time you're 60, 70, you don't have anything to live off of. And then you have to rely on that government Social Security check to take care of you. And believe me, that's not enough. And especially if you go into like 10 years, like say, for instance, like I'm 50 now, right? 10 years from now, I'll be 60. What the hell am I going to do at 60 if I did not save anything? That little money that the government is going to throw my way is not going to sustain me. The economy is going to be way higher. Everything is going to be inflated even more. Or maybe they'll have a system in place where they control everybody and give everybody one universal paycheck, a universal healthcare system, and universal housing. And we are all going to be living the same. And that, I think, is what they're trying to do. So in your estimation, because you are the realtor of, you know, extraordinaire, you know, property, okay? Do you think housing is a great thing to put your money at, especially like if you are making only six figures? Do you think someone should invest in a home or land or anything of that nature?
Oh, absolutely. All millionaires have real estate in their portfolio. One, they're low risk. Not that things are always going to be easy, but one thing that I tell buyers when I work with them, they're always looking at the glitz and the glam. I said, don't look at the glitz. Don't look at what looks pretty. Look at what is going to be. You can make pretty, but it has instant equity. You can live in the home, right? You can fix it up over time, but you know, the cost of living is cheaper, or you have more stability because, you know, the only way your mortgage is going to increase is based on taxes and insurance, right? And so in terms of insurance, you just shop your insurance. If you shop your insurance every 6 months to a year to get a lower rate. But I absolutely believe that. But I believe that it has to be a good investment. But most buyers, they want perfection for their first home. And what I tell buyers all the time, your first home is not your forever home. You want to buy a home that has equity in it, right? Housing is the cost of living is going to always go up. People are going to always need somewhere to live. So say, for instance, you buy this house and then you get more money, or you know, something happens, then you can invest, you get you another house. And now it's part of your portfolio, right? And I just think that we have to make wise investments, but buyers don't think like that. They want it to be pretty. And even when you think about pretty, I'm like, I work with investors. Just because it looks pretty on the outside, what's behind those walls?
Correct.
I would rather move into a solid home that may not be up to date. I know the behind the walls are messed up, than to move into a pretty home and then the behind the walls are still messed up, and eventually you're going to have issues. So I absolutely believe that real estate is a vehicle for wealth. It's just making wise decisions. I'm not talking about purchasing houses that you can't move in right away. I'm talking about purchasing houses that are just, maybe they're dated. They're going to need some updating over time. But once you do the updating, you know, there's equity in the home, and we're able to show after rehab values and what that looks like so that it makes sense.
Yeah, and older homes are just solid. You get your home from 1975, them walls are solid as a rock.
Yeah. Okay. Like I have a house now that's on the market, and it's not a fixed up house, but it was owned by the same couple for the last 30 years. They raised their family there. They moved to, you know, another state because they wanted to get, they just wanted to be closer to their family. But when I say that house is immaculate, and they took care of that house, all new mechanics, right? So the electric, the HVAC, the AC unit, all the things, new refrigerator. And I'm talking about you can eat off the floor, but because it's not new, people are not interested, but it's a solid home. And I'm like, people are missing out on good stuff because you're judging the book by its cover, but they took care of their home. Did they update it? No, it's not updated, but it's extremely nice. But people don't want that. They want, and I think also it's a mentality. They want what looks new. They want what is going to make people be like, oh, they got this nice house. You got a house. That's all that you have, a house that you can make nice over time.
ego is always living for someone else. That's what it is. Their ego.
Yep.
You know, that's why another thing that keeps people in debt are cars, girl. Okay, cars. They're buying these expensive cars, and I mean, the minute you drive it off the lot, it depreciates by 20%. Okay, so what the heck? It's not worth it. I got my Bruce Leroy. He in a I call my car Bruce Leroy. I'm looking at him like, hey, Bruce. Had him for a while. Look, we're gonna ride him till the wheels fall off, Mamacita. I don't care. I be rolling up people like, oh, that's what she drive, and she's who? That's right, exactly. That's what I drive, and I don't care what you think.
And let's talk about the cars. When you're thinking about purchasing property, they're not looking at your credit. They're looking at your complete credit profile, and they're going to look at your debt to income ratio, right?
Correct.
So if you have a car and your note is $1,000 a month, you just decrease your purchase power drastically, right?
Yeah.
Now you're going to be discouraged because what you want, you're not going to be able to necessarily get, because now your purchase power is decreased because your debt to income ratio is high. You get what I'm saying? And I don't think that people think about those type of things when they're making a purchase of something that's going to depreciate an asset. And I think that once we get to the point where we understand those type of things, and we have more information out there now and more knowledge out there now, but a lot of times we didn't know, right? And so what we see on social media is all the glitz and the glam, not realizing that sometimes these people are not, they're renting these things. They're doing it for attention. It's not even theirs. Even when you think about the stars are not always buying all this jewelry. Sometimes the stuff is fake. And so we're busy trying to keep up with the Joneses. And I think that those are things that are putting us back. Everybody wants this name brand stuff, Louis Vuitton, all that, which is nice if you can truly afford it, right? You want this nice car, but you parking your car on the street and not in a garage because you have an apartment as opposed to an asset. You understand what I'm saying? And so I think that we have to think about things from a different perspective, and we have to prioritize differently if we want to be in a different situation. The money that you're spending, $1,000 a month that you're spending on a car, you could potentially put that into an asset or a stock or trades or different things like that is going to really help you in the long run. And then when you get to that point, then maybe you can afford those type of things comfortably, period.
Yeah, and I was going to say that if you can do it, that's on you. But for the people who can't do it, really think about this. You know what I'm saying? Think about it. If you just invest just a little bit, you'll be able to do it eventually. It's not going to be today or tomorrow, but it'll be eventually. So anyway, let's go to our last video of the day, and then we're going to get into some stats. Producer, can you show us our last video, please?
100K used to mean rich. Now it barely means stable. If you're making six figures, but still stressed every month, you're not bad with money. The system changed. Rent is insane, groceries doubled, insurance up, power bills up, interest rates up, and somehow a person earning $100,000 now feels what a 50K salary felt like 10 years ago. People look rich online, but behind the scenes, car loans, credit cards, afterpay, mortgage stress, most people aren't building wealth anymore. They're financing the appearance of wealth. And the scary part? A lot of people still think 100K means you've made it. It doesn't. Not anymore. And most people won't realize this until debt quietly owns their life.
Wow. So that was the question I wanted to ask you. Do you think that people are equating a high income to being wealthy?
I don't,
because you can make $500,000 a year, right?
Yeah.
And still be poor as hell.
Yeah. Again, I'm gonna go back to what I was saying before. I think it's a mentality.
Yeah.
You can be rich and poor. You can be poor and rich. It's your mentality. It's your mentality, right? When you think about wealth is just not about finances. Wealth is about the people around you, the love that you have, the life that you've created, the stability that you have, the freedom that you have.
Yeah.
That is wealth. And I think that we are consumed with money. So we're chasing the dollar as opposed to really looking at things in totality, right? How is your mental health, right? How's your spiritual health? How's your physical health? If you align all those things and you focus on wellness, then things will start aligning because you look at things from a different perspective.
Correct.
If you're insecure, you're chasing what other people have to say, right? You want to people please. You want to look the part when you're in those spaces, right? Because you're not healed and you're not whole. And I think that when people really start tackling into that stuff, that's when you become wealthy, right? Because it's not just about money. And then money starts attracting you because now you have the time and you have the energy to do the things to position you differently. And that's what I think. I really think that wealth is a mindset. Wealth is not necessarily a number. And I get it. People think about money, but when you think about money, it's really about freedom, and we don't have the freedom to do anything that we need to do. And so that's how I feel about it.
I love that. I love that answer. Every time when I look at people who made little money, okay, low income people, most people think, oh, they're just low income, but some of these people actually have portfolios that will blow your mind. All right. I'll never forget this gentleman. I talked about this on Fly Nubian Money before. This gentleman was a parking lot attendant, Dominique. Okay. Parking people cars, girl, giving them little tickets for their cars, whatever. And this man amassed a $1 million portfolio just by investing in the stocks. And this gentleman who was a news person could not understand how he was able to do that. And he said he would just listen. He said he started listening into people just talking as they were passing by, talking about this stock, that stock. He said, and it piqued his interest. And then he learned how to go in and invest and buy stocks. And next thing you know, he amassed a $1 million fortune. This man could have been retired. He was like in his 60s, but he was still working because he just liked to work. All right. So, yeah, you can't judge a book by its cover. Just because somebody's making that $50,000 doesn't mean that they are not sitting on a ton of freaking wealth, So,
and that's why I have conversations with everybody. I don't judge a book by its cover. And I'm not running to somebody that looks like money, because usually when they look like money, they really don't have money and they scam likely, right?
Yeah.
And that's the truth. That's what I find to be the truth, because people are attracted to that. So automatically, they're going to get more money because they're able to show you, and they can get you to make crazy investments, like recently I heard in Chicago that it was a guy that was into real estate. I don't know if it's in Chicago, but I believe it was Chicago. He was into real estate. People were taking out loans against their homes because he was telling them that, he could flip this money, not thinking like, why would you take out a loan to make more money to give to somebody else? Like, I think because he looked the part and because he quote unquote had a history of doing this, people trusted it. And we have to think about things differently. We can't just move based on what somebody looks like, and we can't just judge a book by its cover. Some of the people that you would never believe would have the money, like you said, that parking attendant, sometimes they just doing it because it's just fun to do. It's just something to do. It gets them out the house. It keeps them busy, but they're sitting on money. And I've had conversations with people, randomly, because I just love talking to people, and I'm just like, whoa. And they're able to give you so much knowledge and information. But if you judge the book by its cover, you would never get that information, because you would assume, what they say when you assume, you would assume that this person has assume that this person has nothing to offer because they quote unquote don't look the part. But what is looking the part? And we have to change our mindset. If the person doesn't have, just because they look rich doesn't mean that they're rich. And just because they look poor doesn't mean that they're poor. And when you think about a lot of these people, like Steve Jobs, he wore the same thing all the time because he didn't want to have to think about what he was wearing. But does that mean he's poor? No, he just didn't want to have to think about what he was wearing. So we have to change the mindset.
Yeah, they always say wealth is quiet and poor is flash and dash. It's very loud.
Yeah.
So you can kind of tell truly who has true wealth just by what they're wearing, how they're carrying themselves. It's just not loud at all. So, yeah. Right. Anywho, we're going to get into some stats now. Let's get into some stats. Producer. Housing continues consuming larger percentages of household budgets. Yeah, it does. Childcare costs remain one of the biggest expenses for working families. And it's a crime that childcare is so expensive. How you expect me to pay childcare and work at the same time? Like, I might as well stay home.
It's horrible.
It makes no sense. Healthcare costs continue increasing faster than many wages. That's why people are leaving the country, girl.
Yep. We were just talking about that.
Okay. Consumer debt levels remain historically high across many income brackets. That's the truth. That is so true. More and more people are filing for bankruptcy. Higher earnings do not always translate into higher wealth accumulation. That is true. And it's so funny because some people say, oh, finally, I made the 6 figures, but I still feel poor.
Yeah.
You know, and it's because they're spending more. They're not realizing now that they have this extra money that they're spending more. Then now they're spending above their means. So,
But I don't think that they're necessarily always. Sometimes I do think people spend, and maybe oftentimes people spend beyond their means. But also the cost of everything has gone up drastically. So again, before COVID, I can go to the store with $250 and feed my family comfortably. And now it's almost $1,200. So when, like, even think about gas. I could fill my tank up with $50 something. Now I'm spending $100 to fill my tank up. So I don't even think it's about what people are necessarily doing. It's what's happening around us that we have no control over. So now if you're able to, and then you're not getting the increases, right? You're not getting the regular increases. They're not keeping up with inflation. And they're telling you, you need to just be happy that you have this job. So I think that oftentimes it's not just about the decisions that people make. Sometimes people just tap out too because they're so overwhelmed trying to maintain the basic necessities, right? That it just feels more comfortable just to scroll and just shop. And then now your money is gone and you're in a worse situation, but you just feel horrible. You know, sometimes people emotionally eat. Sometimes people emotionally spend. I'm so overwhelmed. I don't even know where to start. I can't even pay my bills. So just forget it. I don't even want to look at my bank account, you know, overdraft fees. They're overwhelmed too. And then it causes them to make poor decisions. And then because they're so overwhelmed and boggled down by this financial stress, they don't have the energy to do anything else, right?
Right.
They don't have the energy to try to think of something creative to make additional money when there are tons of things out there to make additional money, but people are so overwhelmed. I just feel like we need an overall reset. Mind, soul. Like I do. I feel like people carry so much stress. People are overwhelmed, not even just financial, just with everything that's going on. And so I know we want to make it like just everybody is making bad decisions intentionally, but I don't always think that. I think that people are just overwhelmed, right? When you get, you know, now I go to the doctor, right? Or I go to the hospital because I had an emergency that I have no control over. And you don't know what the bills are going to look like until you start getting them in the mail. So now that's sending you over the edge. It's just so many things that happen.
Girl, I'm telling you, it's the big setup. They trying to reset the economy. They trying to reset everything. This is why Trump running the whole United States into the ground. We are $1 trillion. How much in debt? 30 trillion, something like that. I don't know. Trillions of dollars in debt right now. Okay. Yeah. Because there's going to be a big reset. That's going to make first we get all fearful. Oh no, this is happening. And then they're going to come up with the solution. And it's going to make everybody feel better. But then again, it's a trap too. The solution is a trap. And this is what people are not seeing. So,
and we fall for it all the time. And that's why we have to come together. Like, you know, and I know you've heard me say it, like, I want to farm. Like, I want to create this space for my family and my friends to come live. We educate our young. We grow our own food. We take care of our own animals and our meat, right? Like we're doing that. We know what's going in it. We know what's happening. You know, we take care of our elderly. That's another thing. Like people don't understand, even when it comes to purchasing a property, if you don't protect your asset, say you go to a nursing home or something, right? Now they could potentially take what you worked so hard for. And now there's nothing left for your family, but we don't know about any of these things. It's true. So if we reset and like think about things differently and crowdfund, and I get it, we can't do it with everybody, but use your discernment, use your intuition, and the people that you are aligned with that have like mindset that they are proven, right? You pay attention to people's behaviors, not their words not their words. Pay attention to what they do. Actions speak louder than words. If they're making good decisions and they're having, you know, these real conversations about what they're trying to do and how they want to move, maybe you need to start thinking about that. Even again, like if you are a single parent, coming together with somebody else. If you are friends, coming together. Like even when I think about young people coming out of college, why come out of college and rent? How about a couple of your friends? And again, just have your paperwork in order so that it protects you. Have an attorney write up something that makes it make sense. How long are you guys going to be in this deal? What does this look like? Purchase y'all a multi-family building, right? So that you're paying yourself. You're not paying somebody else's mortgage. You're paying your own mortgage. So I just think that we have to have more conversations and we have to change our mindset.
And I like that because also as they get older, say for instance, they're 40, 50, they have a forever home. If they have no place to go, they can go right into that apartment building that they done paid for at 20 years old and have a forever home to go into. And I'm saying if things get rough for them.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Oh man, this has been a conversation.
And let me take it a step further from a healthcare perspective, right? So say for instance, you got to think about the cost to be in a nursing home. The cost is nuts, right?
Oh, yes, it is.
Imagine if you guys built something or you have a portfolio. It's cheaper to have somebody to come into your home and take care of you as opposed to getting the quality of care that you deserve.
Right.
For you to be in a nursing home, right? But we have to be strategic in our planning, and it starts now, and it's never too late. Right. Yeah. So we have to think about these things. And once we start thinking about these things, and people are like, we're having more discussions about finances and what that looks like. And one change one day, it can literally change your life. And so we have to continue to have these conversations. We have to continue to be open to coming together as opposed to operating in silos. Like I can do this by myself. Everybody want to be the boss. No, everybody is not the boss. Everybody has their area of expertise. So when I think about my farm, right, I love to be in the garden. Like, I have my own garden right now. So I'm starting to grow my own food. It's that time of the year. So I'm starting to do things now, right? So I would love to do that. I love the youth, mentoring the youth. I love doing things like that. I also love taking care of elderly. I get a chance to have conversations with them. So people get to play their part. You got people in the community that are builders, right? We name the street after us. We police ourselves. We take care of ourselves. And when we start thinking about those type of things, I think that we can make an impact, and we could make sure that we are good for generations to come.
And I believe that too. I think that Black people need to get out of the mentality of fear, because I love the word fear, because it's false evidence appearing real. We have to stop being so fearful that these white people are going to come back and be burning down our stuff.
We give them too much power.
Yeah, we
give other people too much power. And think about what's on the other side of fear.
Everything you want.
Everything you want.
Everything you dreamed of is on that other side.
But we get stuck over here like, I don't want to do it. Well, what if everything goes well? What if you excel? What if you become a millionaire? What if you're able to pull your family? What if? Let's think about it. Let's think about that glass half full. What if everything works out exactly the way you want, above and beyond? And that's how we have to think about it. We're saying making calculated risk. We're not saying just be out there, be foolish. It's natural to be fearful. And one thing that I've learned is my growth comes from me doing things scared. I'm going to do it scared. I'm not perfect. None of us are perfect. We're going to make mistakes. Things are going to happen. But the thing about it is when you make mistakes and things don't work out, you're not starting new. You're starting with knowledge.
Correct. Exactly.
And so
you know why this is also important? Because just recently, a young Black boy was murdered by a Chinese store owner. Okay. And the Chinese store owner was acquitted from the murder charges. There was a young Chinese or Asian man. I can't really call him Chinese. I don't know if they're Chinese, but Asian man. He was on social media telling Black people to stop. Like, if you don't like us, stop buying Asian. Stop. That. You seen it? Yeah, stop going to our stores and stop. He said, you'll never do it because we outwork y'all. We do this, we do that. And I was just listening to that. And I'm like, he's making a point. Even though it sounds as crazy as it sounds, he is making a point. Maybe we should take him up on his offer and not patronize Asian stores anymore. Build our own stores. And it is very hard for us to build stores because they do give a lot of minorities from other countries. They give them free loans and things like that so they can build in our community, because they don't go to the white communities and build. They come right to us in our communities and they build up. Why?
Yeah.
We can't do it.
I remember I was in Jamaica and the Asians own majority of the grocery stores. So I was asking the driver.
That makes sense.
My mind was blown. I was like, why in Jamaica the Asians own majority of the grocery stores? Because I was just asking him, I said, how many, do you have a lot of white people? Like, just curious about, the culture of Jamaica. Yeah. He was like, no, we have a lot of Asians. I said, a lot of Asians? He said, yeah, they own the grocery stores. And I was like, okay.
That makes sense.
But the thing is, so we make the excuse, they won't give us nothing. Again, if we come together, we can get it. We can do it ourselves, because the fact of the matter is we are the top spenders. So if we're the top spenders, we got the money. We just got to learn
the money. Yeah.
We got the money. We just have to learn how to make the money work for us. And what happens is we're relying on other people to save us. They're not saving us. We have to save ourselves. We have to save ourselves.
And also, we need some honest, beautiful soul Black people to step forward and to help. Because most times when we put our trust in ourselves, we get burnt. Okay. And it is someone who we all know up on this platform came to mind. I'm not even going to mention that Negro's name. Okay. That took lots of money from Black people. All right. That hurts.
Yeah.
That we need to stop the shit and stop hurting each other.
Yeah.
Be honest and truthful to each other, because this shit is serious. We need to get whatever it is, this reality that we are creating for ourselves. We need to rise above it and get up out of it.
Yeah.
It's hurting us and our families.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I agree.
So we're about to end the show, girl. But I just want you to give us your last comments about this whole entire subject in totality, and also let us know where we can find you.
So, as I think about this topic, $100,000 is not the same as it was a few years ago, but our mentality has remained the same. We have to change our mentality, and I just think we could do so much more together. We're stronger together. We come together, collaborate. We can really be powerful and make moves. Don't let some bad apples, because there's always going to be bad apples, spoil the bunch, right? Don't let it stop you from moving forward. Don't let it stop you from being successful, right? And don't allow it to create so much fear that it paralyzes you. Like, we can do so much more, and we do not have to live based on, just this $100,000. There's so many ways for us to make money, right? There's so many ways for us to get beyond that $100,000. African Americans are becoming millionaires, right? We have the knowledge and the resources and the tools and the connections. We have all these. We have to tap into them and come together. Be okay with not being the boss. Be okay with coming together and collaborating and allowing that people to operate in their excellence. And then when you're not excellent in that area, you can step back, but you're learning from the people that are operating in their excellence. And I think that we could do so much more to change this narrative for ourselves and our community. And again, invest in real estate. Real estate is a vehicle to wealth. People are going to always need somewhere to live. Always. Always. It doesn't matter the cost. People are going to always need somewhere to live. So look at it from that perspective. And finally, if you're getting into real estate, don't always chase the glitz and the glam. Sometimes you have to crawl before you walk. You can have some solid properties that are not the best looking, right? But you create what you want to create that is affordable for you, that it will get you to the next step. It's your first home, not your forever home. And so you want to look at it from that perspective. So if you want to connect with me, you can find me on all social media platforms at The Whitmore Group, or you can go to our website at thewhitmoregroup.com.
I love that. Dominique, you are such a gem. You're such a gem. I swear. You're saying all the good stuff, but it's true. I truly believe, too, that we have to come together as a community, because that's the only way that we're going to survive. Whether we believe it or not, other communities, they got their stuff together. They may seem like they're fighting, but they're not fighting. Not like us. Not like us. And we need to stop with all this man, woman child, mother, whatever division that's going on, because it's just really keeping us all far apart. And another thing I wanted to tell people, and this may sound strange, but really, stop eating junk food and bullshit. And the reason why I say that is because when your system is suppressed, and I'm talking about your gut and all that other stuff, your brain is suppressed, and it doesn't allow for you to really think your way out of what's going on right now.
Yeah.
Change your diets, think holistically, bring your mind, body, and spirit together, and energetically, we can attract whatever it is that we want up on this bitch. So, anywho.
Now, where can they find you?
They can find me at nwhitney.com. Yes, I'm the insurance broker to the stars. You can find me at nwhitney.com. I can insure anything, even your pinky toe. So if you need some insurance, give me a call. I'm here. All right? I'm here. So at the end of the day, 6 figures may still sound impressive, and it is. But if higher incomes are disappearing into household debts, childcare, rising costs, then the bigger conversation becomes, are people making more money or just paying more bills? Because financial freedom is not only about income, it is about what money allows you to keep. And that's the truth. Let's be free, y'all. Let's get our freedom on. See you next week. Bye.